A young man in a suit sits in a courtroom, facing the death penalty. The prosecutor is on her feet, circling him like she already knows exactly how this ends. She presses him, hard. And with every question, you can see something starting to crack behind his eyes. His hands rise to his head, his composure slipping as the pressure builds. The room feels tighter, heavier, like it's closing in on him. And then, she stops. She turns to the court and delivers a speech that changes everything.
You know what I would do if someone did that to me? I would kill him. I wouldn't hesitate.
No.
I would stab him 78 times with a butcher knife. I would chop off his fingers. I would slash his throat open. I would carve numbers into his chest. I would gouge out his eyes. I swear to God. But that's me. No further questions, Your Honor.
Where the hell do you think you're going?
Excuse me?
Hey, you look at me when I'm talking to you, you bitch.
Mr. Stampler!
Fuck you, baby. Come here.
Now for all my brain rot girlies and guys, I already know you've seen this scene. It's been everywhere. It's lived rent-free on the internet for a reason. And today we are finally going all the way back to where it came from. Because that moment, it doesn't even come close to preparing you for what this film actually does. This is Primal Fear. And by the end of this recap, you will understand exactly why that courtroom scene hits the way it does. So let's get into it. Inside Archbishop Richard Rushman's private quarters, the Archbishop steps out of his bathroom mid-routine and is suddenly attacked. A shadowy figure armed with a knife lunges at him. What follows is violent. Outside, a witness catches a glimpse of the chaos and immediately calls for help. Within hours, the streets of Chicago are flooded with police and media. When investigators arrive, what they find stops them cold. The Archbishop has been savagely murdered, his eyes gouged out, and a cryptic code, B32A156, carved directly into his chest. But that's not all. At the scene, officers spot a 19-year-old altar boy, Aaron Stampler, covered in blood, visibly shaken, running. A chase begins. He is cornered and arrested. Welcome to Sandy's Timeline. If you're new here, subscribe and come join the family. We're building something special, and I would love for you to be part of it. As the case begins to unfold, we are introduced to Martin Vale, a high-profile defense attorney mid-interview for a magazine cover. Confident, charismatic, very aware of the spotlight. He makes one thing clear. He believes every person deserves a fair shot at justice. The money is good, the attention even better. But the real reward for him is making sure every defendant gets the best defense possible. Then the interviewer asks the question, what if your client is guilty? Martin doesn't hesitate. He shuts it down immediately. Because to him, that is not the point. The justice system isn't about guilt or innocence. It's about the story you tell and how well you tell it. Every defendant deserves the best attorney in the room. And the truth? The truth is whatever version he can convince a jury to believe. The next morning, Martin sees Aaron Stampler's face on the news. Young, pale, frightened. The kind of face a city has already made up its mind about. And something in Martin shifts. Not sympathy. Instinct. The instinct of a man who recognizes a high-profile case the moment it appears. He takes it as pro bono. And he makes sure everyone knows it. But when he finally sits across from Aaron, he is not prepared for what he finds. Aaron is nothing like the headlines. His soft-spoken, fragile, and wit has a stutter that surfaces whenever he gets nervous. He tells Martin about growing up poor in rural Kentucky, running from a difficult home, and eventually finding his way to Chicago, where the Archbishop took him in, gave him a place in the choir, and gave him a sense of purpose. The way Aaron talks about the Archbishop doesn't sound like fear or resentment. It sounds like love and gratitude. He says he remembers nothing about that night. The last thing he recalls is returning a book to the bishop's library. He heard noises, went back and saw the bishop, and a dark figure beside him that suddenly lunged. After that, nothing. He woke up running, covered in blood, with no idea why. Martin has spent his entire career reading people. He knows how to find the gap between what someone says and what they actually mean. But sitting across from Aaron, he cannot find it anything. The kid seems genuine. But seeming genuine and being innocent are two very different things. And nobody knows that better than Martin Vale. The evidence against Aaron is overwhelming. His fingerprints on the murder weapon. Found fleeing the scene. No alibi. The Archbishop's blood covering him head to toe. From the state's perspective, this is open and shut. Martin refuses to accept that. He starts digging. And what he finds beneath the surface of the Archbishop's golden reputation begins to change everything. Hidden inside the Archbishop's private quarters is a videotape, and what's on it is deeply disturbing. The Archbishop engaged in sexual acts with teenagers from his own youth program. Young people he was supposed to be protecting. Aaron is on that tape. So is a young woman named Linda, who is apparently Aaron's girlfriend. The Archbishop's sainthood begins to crack. Martin brings in a psychiatrist, Dr. Molly Arrington, to evaluate Aaron. She begins spending extended time with him, digging into his history, his trauma, his memory gaps. And then during one session, something happens that stops her completely. The person sitting across from her is no longer Aaron. The stutter and the softness is gone. What's sitting in front of her now is cold, direct, and almost mocking. This version speaks differently, moves differently, and answers to a completely different name. Roy. Roy is everything Aaron is not. Aggressive, confident, with a volatile edge that Aaron never shows. And Roy has absolutely no memory of being Aaron. Dr. Arrington delivers her assessment. Aaron Stampler has dissociative identity disorder. Two completely separate personalities sharing one body, neither fully aware of the other. Martin Vale now has his defense. He leans into it completely. The argument is simple. Even if Aaron was present when the Archbishop was killed, it was Roy who committed the act. And Roy is a separate personality. You cannot punish a person for a crime committed by someone they have never even met, even if that someone lives inside their own mind. Martin makes it brilliantly. The trial reaches its breaking point. The prosecutor, Janet, a sharp and relentless, and also Martin's ex, puts Dr. Arrington on the stand and begins attacking the diagnosis. She pushes hard, implies the whole thing is a performance, a defense attorney's invention dressed up in clinical language. And then, Aaron is put on for questioning, and during the trial, he begins to change. Right there, in open court, Roy surfaces. He lunges across the room and attacks Janet. The courtroom erupts. Bailiffs rush in. The judge clears the room. When the dust settles, the damage is done. Not to Martin's case, to the prosecution's, because that jury just watched something they cannot explain away. The judge rules, not guilty by reason of insanity. Aaron Stampler will not go to prison. He will go to a psychiatric facility for treatment. Martin Vale has won. He goes to see Aaron one last time before the transfer. The conversation starts normally. Aaron thanks him quietly. Martin asks a few routine questions, and then Aaron tells him to pass along an apology to Janet about her neck. Martin stops, and because Aaron claimed he remembered nothing about Roy or anything that happened in the courtroom. So how exactly does he know about the attack on Janet? Martin looks at the young man sitting across from him, and he just smiles. But it is not Aaron's smile. He tells Martin the truth. There never was an Aaron. Aaron was always the performance. A gentle, soft-spoken, sympathetic boy that Roy built from scratch, because he knew that was exactly the kind of person the world would rush to protect. He wore that version of himself with the doctors, in court, and with Martin every single time it was useful. He killed the Archbishop deliberately. He killed Linda too, almost as an afterthought. And the dissociative identity disorder that won the entire case? Roy laughs and Martin stands there. He just won the biggest case of his career. He just walked a calculated, cold-blooded killer straight out of a prison sentence. The verdict is final. Double jeopardy. There is absolutely nothing he can do. He walks out of that room alone, and the look on his face says everything. And that is Primal Fear. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this, make sure to subscribe, leave a like, and share this with someone who loves a good story. And if you enjoyed this one, you will definitely enjoy the recap above. I'll see you in the next one.